and let's get started. Today, after this 3-hour course, you are going to earn a new designation, the Certified Staging Advocate. So that will be coming your way. You've got some more alphabet soup to add to your name. Also, we're going to be looking at, I want to just point out the tips and the facts, those thumbs ups. Those are going to be like key moments, places you're probably going to want to take some notes, or if you want to grab the screenshot or actually take your phone and shoot a picture of it, you are more than welcome to do so, because I've got a lot of information and some of it's going to go fairly quickly. Okay, so just a rundown of what we are going to be teaching today. I'm going to be talking about what staging is and what it's not, what it all entails, how this relates to the buyers. We're going to be talking some numbers and some stats for those of you who like that hardcore numbers behind the magic. We're going to be talking about why you're going to want to list your houses, or excuse me, list your properties and have them staged. We're going to also be talking about how you're going to work with stagers and the details of some of our contracts and what is very industry standard for us. And then also just some security tips and lots to cover today. So first thing we're going to start is what exactly is staging? Staging is, we're going to talk about what it's not. So first of all, we are not about hiding. We are not about hiding that Kool-Aid spill on the carpet with a rug. We're not about hiding holes in walls. Staging is not about decorating. So that's where I really want you to get that in your mindset, is we are not decorating. What we are doing is we are styling a property to appeal to a target buyer. This is also very different from interior design. So in interior design, that focus is about how the client feels and what the client wants in their space. And to be honest with you, staging has absolutely nothing to do with the seller. It's all about the buyer. It's not about personal style, and it's not about showcasing collectibles. And also, it's not just something that you want to do for an open house. So let's talk about what exactly staging is. Now, when it comes, staging is marketing. What you are doing is getting your properties in a marketable condition. So we are coming in and we are talking about repairs. We are talking about preparing the house, getting it cleaned, getting it decluttered. And then how do we present it so it's going to attract the largest amount of buyers? Some of the things that staging involves, in part of the preparation process, it's going to be cleaning, it's going to be decluttering, we're updating and painting, and we're also doing repairs. Now, your stager is not going to do that, but they are going to they can give you a list. They can get you started. These are the basic things that need to happen with the property in order to give it maximum value for when we're selling. And then this is the first piece of the process. And then the second is going to come in where we're actually showcasing the property. So as we are showcasing the property, we're looking at arranging the furniture to a nice flow and something that makes sense for the way that the house is designed. We're going to be bringing in accessories and art and lighting and really making the house look absolutely spectacular. And then also the last part of it is professional photography. I will tell you, I have seen so many times throughout my career where an agent has had a property staged and either one, they don't do professional photography, they will do their iPhone, which is one of the very worst things that you can do. Or what's even worse is they don't even take photos of it at all. So I'm going to highly recommend that you do professional photography. It will completely change the way your properties are viewed online, which will actually affect the days on market. So when do you want to stage? That's the big question. When does all of this happen? So the facts are real property is the consumer's #1 asset. So when it comes to selling a property, your client is not viewing their house as a product. And you as a real estate agent, that is really where you need to educate them that we are turning your home, a place where you have a lot of wonderful memories, you've been there for years, into a marketable product that buyers will be drawn to, because the whole goal is to maximize their investment. Property should also be merchandised and marketed just like any other product. So this is all about the marketing, it's presentation. Here's a tip for you. We want to convey to your homeowner, we want to take out the emotion. We want them to consider this as their large asset, and they want to be able to get the largest return on their investment. So by staging, we're going to be able to merchandise and market their property the very best that it will possibly show. Let's talk about unstaged and generic. Now, back in the 80s, generic products really made a big splash onto the market. So if you'll take a look at the example here, would you rather have a cola or a Coke? Both drinks, they taste about the same, but because of the marketing that Coke has done, their product is perceived to be better. They probably have the exact same ingredients, or at least very similar ingredients, but Coke has a higher quality compared to the cola. So that's what we're doing with these houses, is we are turning them from that generic cola into that Coca-Cola. Everybody wants a Coke. It's the Coke over the cola. So professionally staged homes also present and show better than the competing homes in the neighborhood, including new construction and the higher priced homes. So many times we have a situation where it's a newer neighborhood and you have a property where the homeowners might have lived there for a year or two, but they still could be building in that subdivision. And so in that situation, that's where it's really especially important in order to market that house and make it look much better than the competing homes in the neighborhood. Staged properties are also going to sell faster compared to unstaged homes. Now, we also have some data on that I'm going to be able to share with you today, but staging is going to help you have less days on market. So we're going to have less carrying costs for the client. We can also generate multiple offers, which is fantastic. And sometimes we even get a higher price than list price. So by being able to present that property to make it very desirable, you have given your client the advantage. So once again, staged properties can increase your offers. Isn't it nice to have a multiple offer situation where you have lots of options to choose from, and you can sit down with your client and figure out which is the best potential contract for them to sign. Also, when you have your property staged, they look phenomenal in photos. That's going to help you with all of your print and your web advertising. Something to think about too is Your listings are your brands. If you consistently list properties that have cluttered photos and messy look, the houses are unclean, you start to develop a reputation of, of not the highest quality. So think about this. I actually have an agent that I work with here in Nashville, and she has an amazing, amazing business model. She actually goes in, she pays for all of the staging. She will pay for the painter. She pays for she will do some minor repairs, and she also will change out light fixtures. Now, this is her business model where she actually takes on all those expenses. That's not necessarily what I'm advocating you as an agent do, but this is her model. And she specializes in the luxury properties. So like $1 million property is kind of like to her. It's always those higher price properties. And she gets a ton of business and a lot of referral business through that because she does the full package. Her brand, she's very brand conscious. So by being able to focus on what her listings look like, it tends to attract other properties for her to sell that look like that or can look like that. Looking at the two pieces of cake here, which one would you prefer? If I offer this to you, would you take the one on the left or would you take the one on the right? Which one to you is more appealing? This is staging in a nutshell. All we're doing is fine-tuning, we're fluffing, we're giving it the very best possible presentation that it can have. So when we apply this to staging, let's take a look at these photos here. The photo on the left, this is about a $1.2 million property in the Franklin area. And then take a look at the photo on the right. Which would you rather sell? Which one says luxury? Which one says I'm in demand? This is the one that I want to go see. When your clients come into town and they have to look at 10 houses this weekend and they have to make a decision this weekend, which house do you think they're going to want to look at? Which one is automatically going to make the cut? Same with this room. You can have a smaller property. They don't have to be luxury properties in order to really benefit from staging. And as a matter of fact, I feel like the lower price properties actually tend to get more traction with staging, because if you stop and you think about what their competition is, these properties look absolutely amazing. When you're looking at the luxury properties, clients expect to have the houses look amazing. But the smaller, lower price properties, that's not necessarily an expectation from the buyer. So when they see a property that looks very attractive, wow, you have blown their socks off. They get really excited. So isn't it awesome to have a listing that has a ton of buyer interest that people get excited about? That's really awesome for your seller. Okay, so here are just some quick facts. Once again, all these products they're gonna have features and they're gonna have selling points. The most expensive single purchase that most people are going to do is going to be their home. And then all products are gonna have competition. So every house is going to be competing with other properties on the market. You also need to help your client understand that they're competing with other homes in the area. So especially in those neighborhoods when the subdivision may only have 4 or 5 different floor plans, you really need to do something in order to make this house stand out. So what are you going to do? And so staging is the answer for you to make that happen. So does staging work in a seller's market or a buyer's market? And I'm actually going to say it works fantastic in both. Now, in a seller's market, staging is going to bring you multiple offers. It can actually cause the house to sell for higher than list price, which can be very exciting. And in a buyer's market, staging is going to help the house sell faster than what it would otherwise. So there's a huge benefit in both markets. And I will tell you, just my experience with staging is I have been in that seller's market, and we actually went through that wonderful time period of 2008, 2009, when we had the rug ripped out from under us, and in that crash. And actually, we were crazy busy. So in that market, builders and agents alike were very adamant on needing to stage their properties so that they would get the buyer's attention, even though there weren't as many buyers out there looking at that time. It really made these houses stand out. So they were able to compete much better than the other properties that were on the market that were just sitting. Okay, chapter 2. Let's talk about what staging entails. Now, these days of just giving them credit are over. So every single issue or repair needs to be made to a property. Anytime you don't make a repair, it's an open invitation for a buyer to counter with a lower offer. So you need to really focus on making any necessary repairs and upgrades to eliminate buyers for asking for price cuts or allowances. So we're looking at cleaning and repairs and fine tuning, any kind of, we've got to focus on curb appeal, painting, and then professional photography as well. Now, if your listing needs a lot of repairs, staging should not take the place of those until after they are addressed. So this is the very first thing that you're going to want to do. And as a matter of fact, here's a little tip for you. If you really want to be a powerhouse agent and you want to avoid those last minute 11th hour crisis that tends to happen right before closing because we just got our repair list back from the buyers. They did their home inspection. We've got a laundry list of things, and now we are under the gun to hurry up and get some of this stuff done, and now we're all stressed out. I would recommend on the front end, have your seller do a home inspection. Then once they invest in that home inspection, now you can look at a list of all of the things that need to be addressed. When they are addressed, or you know what you are dealing with. So your seller can take a look at this list, and you can help them determine what's really important to do and what's maybe not so important to do. And then we can get those addressed. And then once they're addressed, now you can use this inspection report actually as a marketing tool, because you can leave that out, or you can connect with the buyer's agent and let them know, hey, look, we had an inspection. My seller is very serious about selling their house. This house is in fantastic condition. We found X, Y, and Z that needed to be done. My sellers handled that. And this house is in fantastic shape. So now they can convey to their buyers that this house is looking pretty solid. And the likelihood that something will happen from the time the seller has done their home inspection to the time that the buyer has done their inspection, you've really shortened that window and made that a lot smaller. So you can avoid so much stress by dealing with some of this stuff on the front end. It makes life so much easier. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that really need to be addressed. If you've got worn carpets, those definitely need to be replaced. Broken light switches can be replaced very easily. And then we can do a lot of repairs. We can repair some loose doorknobs. It's the fine tuning of things. If there's leaky faucets, either they need to be repaired or replaced. Running toilets, sticky locks, and slow drains. All of these are very, for the most part, very minor and easy to get repaired. So let's address them on the front end. Also, cabinet doorknobs need to be either repaired or replaced. Broken garbage disposals, cracks and holes in walls, all of that needs to be done, repaired on the front end. Broken screen doors, we've got clogged outdoor shower heads, or excuse me, outdated shower heads, ripped screen windows, and sticky windows. The last thing that you like as a seller's agent is to get a home inspection report back on that a buyer has done on your listing, and comes back and you've got a laundry list of repairs to do. It creates a lot of stress. It creates a lower offer, and it just makes it a lot more difficult to sell a house that's in disrepair. So let's go ahead. Let's do our due diligence. Let's get on the front end of it. And let me highly recommend slow down and take your time when it comes to listing. And I know your clients, they wanted the house on the market yesterday. They want it sold yesterday. But what you really need to do is slow down. Let's get the house in phenomenal shape. Let's get it in the very best shape that we possibly can. And then we'll fix any kind of repairs. We'll get it painted. We will stage it. And then now you have set up your seller to be in the very best negotiating spot possible. So you have given them the advantage. Take your time. Take your time. Okay, so let's talk about what a professional stager will never do. We are not in the business of hiding and distracting. What I am in the business of is I am in the business of directing the eye. I'm going to direct the eye to the fantastic features of the home and focus on those areas. If there's awkward spaces, I'm going to make them make sense. But I am not going to be covering up and hiding and making the buyer feel like they got ripped off. That's not what we are in the job of. So we want to have the house as in best shape as possible and not hide anything. Now, if there is something wrong with the house, if there's a cosmetic flaw, whether it be, let's just say there's a big, huge stain on the carpet and it just it doesn't come out, the clients have cleaned the carpet, it doesn't come out and they don't have the funds to replace the carpet, that's okay. Let it be, but show it so that the buyers can see that on the front end. Then they won't feel as if the seller is not being truthful or honest with them. When you're talking with your clients about the repairs, you want to use a lot of analogies with them. You want to put your sellers in the buyer's driving seat. So you want to talk with them, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. I know that as you are getting ready to list your house, the last thing that you want to do is put any money into it. But what we really need to do is we really need to make this house shine. It has to look amazing. It has to stand out in the market. So we need to address repairs. We need to address the painting. We need to make it feel very move-in ready for the next set of buyers, because I know that as you are looking for your next home, you're going to expect your new home to be in fantastic shape. You're not going to want to buy a house that needs repair after repair after repair. So you want to be able to purchase that fantastic home. You need to be able to sell that fantastic home so that you can attract as many buyers as possible. Cleaning. What I have learned in all of my time in real estate is everyone has a different idea of what clean means. So sometimes you walk into a home and you feel like you have walked into a hoarder's home. I will tell you, a few years ago, I got a phone call from a homeowner, and he said, I really think I'm getting ready to sell my house, and I need to have it staged. Will you come take a look at it? Absolutely. So I went to his home. He opened the door, and as soon as I walked in, I felt like I was on a show, the Hoarder Show. I'm not kidding you. He had so much stuff. It was up to my shoulders all across the room. And he literally had to make a path for us to get through the room. Well, let's just say we didn't get very far. And I had to stop him, and I said, basically, we need to get a dumpster out here. There's not much I can do at this point. We've got to get it cleaned up. That's where we've got to start. We've got to get it cleaned. Now, thankfully, I know that most of your sellers are not like that. But cleaning means everything from the ceilings all the way down to the baseboards and everything in between. That's the entire interior of the house, as well as outside as well. But also underneath beds, and other furniture as well. To avoid that uncomfortable and awkward conversation, you want to have a professional. And what I say to my clients, the easiest way to sell the professional is I say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you have so much on your plate. I know that you're trying to keep up with the kids' schedule, and you're trying to get situated in the new town that you're moving to, and trying to get the house ready. There's just a lot going on. Why don't we make this easier for you? And let's bring in a professional cleaner to come in and clean the house. Let's just take one thing off of your plate that you don't have to worry about. And I have found that that is the easiest way to sell professional cleaning, because they start to buy in. Yes, I get it. I understand what you're saying. And there is a lot going on. So let's just make it easy. Let's make it easy for everyone. Okay, photos and cleaning. Let's take a look at this photo on the right. And what do you think would enhance this picture? What do you think would be an easy thing that you could do to make this bathroom look better? Now, minus the ugly artwork, and I will say the wall color is not that attractive, but why don't we type in the chat what you would do, or if somebody would like to chime in, I'd love to hear some feedback.
Anthea?
Yes.
So they're saying there's moldy shower curtain, the shower curtain's dirty, replace it, change newer, better lighting, open the shower curtain.
I love it. Yes, yes, yes. Get rid of it. So whenever you see something like that, what's the buyer going to think? Oh, what else have they neglected? What else? I always wonder what's going on behind the walls, the things that I don't see. That's the question. So an easy fix is let's just get rid of it. Let's just replace it. All right, let's take a look at this next photo. What can we do to improve this? Do you see any red flags?
Clean the filter, dirty air conditioner vent, change the bed linens, take a different angle, declutter.
Amen.
Air freshener,
Amen,
you can smell it through the photo.
Oh, there's so many things wrong with this photo, but yes.
Open the drapes.
Very first thing, yes, and I'm hearing some great feedback. That's fantastic. You guys are awesome. Yes, air filters. Let's clean those. And I know for whatever reason, agents really love to look in those vents and see if that air filter is clean. I don't know why we do that, but that's what we do. Yes, also a big red flag is the that deodorizer down there. Do you see that room refreshener? You know what I think? A, do they smoke or do they have pets? That's what I'm thinking. What scents are they trying to hide? What odors are they trying to mask? But then, yes, I want to also respond about the other comments about, yes, the bedding is wrong, the window treatments are wrong. Actually, the placement of the bed is really wrong. But anyways, the whole point of this was really to share with you dirty and neglect. That's what we're wondering. Like, does this give this house the best presentation? And I would say no, not at all. All right, curb appeal. Okay, curb appeal is so important. If the house doesn't look fantastic on the outside, you will never get them on the inside. How many times have you heard of people driving up to a house because they got super excited about it, and then, boy, instantly that emotion faded? And now it's a turnoff. And how many times have you gone to show a property and then you've had clients refuse to come inside the house? And then there's that embarrassing moment when the listing agent calls you, what did your clients think about my listing? Oh, I couldn't even get them inside. They were so turned off. That's just awkward and uncomfortable, you know? So let's deal with curb appeal. This is the teaser that gets people in. When your curb appeal looks phenomenal, people are going to be super excited about coming inside. They cannot wait. Buying a home is emotional. You have got to play on emotions. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're getting them excited. We're developing that feeling. All right, take a look at this photo. What I suggest when you go into a listing appointment is before you walk in, take a picture of the house on your phone. And then when you're sitting down with those sellers, show them what that photo looks like and ask them if that's very appealing to them. Does this convey the message that you want, that this is a high-end property, or it's a fantastic cozy cottage, that it's highly desirable? Does it tell the buyers that? And if it doesn't, then there's some things that we need to do. So also think about this. Most of the time, your sellers, they don't even pay attention to the front of their house. Most of the time, they're not even aware of it. And the reason why I say that is because we pull into our driveways and we go straight into our garage and then we go straight into our house. How often are we spending time in our front yard? How often are we truly stepping back and looking at our house from the street? Not very often. So that's not a viewpoint that your sellers have. So for them to step back and actually take a look at it and see what it looks like in photos can be very eye-opening for them. Okay, so this will also help you as you begin the conversation of presentation and talk about why it is so important for them. Okay, so we want to get rid of cobwebs. We want to have nice, clean cut grass. We don't want bushes overgrown. We want to just get all of that addressed on the front end. And then you have a much better picture. Okay, so here are some great curb appeal tips, things that are really super important. Update those old house numbers. And also make sure that they're on the mailbox. If it's hard to find the house and the people have to drive by it 3 times to figure out what the address is, we're missing the boat. Okay? So big house numbers, if we've got to change them out, change them out. It's very inexpensive to do. Also, giving that front door a fresh coat of paint will work wonders. And also, in different areas of town, I don't know what your market is like, but in my market here in Nashville, I can do, like for example, in East Nashville, it's a little edgier, it's a little, it's full of musicians, and so it's a lot more of like anything goes. I can do like a bright turquoise door or a bright yellow door that's kind of fun and funky and works great with the house because that's who my buyer is. Now, going into other areas of town, let's say, for example, in my area, Brentwood, which is a suburb of Nashville, it's higher end homes, it's a little bit more luxury. I cannot get away with turquoise or bright yellow doors because that's not who my buyer is. It does not, it actually repels them. So understanding what works in your neighborhoods that you're working is key. And if you're not quite sure, drive around the neighborhood and look at houses and see what stands out to you. Take a look at the color combinations and take pictures of that. Make notes of that, and that will really help you as you can transfer that kind of look to your listing as well. We also want to make sure that the front porch and the entryway is very clean and inviting. When it is full of hoses and yard art and just a whole bunch of stuff, it looks cluttered and doesn't say, come and see what's going on the inside. You also need your sellers to maintain their regular watering and landscaping, all of their mowing and all of that. They need to stay on top of that. We can't just go through this whole process, get the house to the point of being listed and then forget about it. We've got to maintain that as well. You also want to add fresh mulch to the beds and remove any of that yard art that I know so many people love, but it's so distracting. Get rid of the yard art and any kind of equipment. It's just nice and clean and simple. Less is more when you're selling. Less is more, less is more, okay? And then we also want to remove any dead plants and replace them with brand new seasonal plants if that's appropriate.
Anthea,
yes.
Someone recommended pressure washing.
Absolutely, yes. There can be some moments when a house needs a good pressure washing, or the sidewalk needs it. Absolutely.
And removing the trash can, I think in the previous
photo.
Yes.
Let's get it to the back of the house for sure. And definitely don't have it in the pictures. Definitely.
But a couple of comments mentioned the roof. So I've heard there are issues pressure washing roofs.
You know, funny you mentioned that. We actually used to have a roof cleaning business like 20 years ago. And when you have, it's a specialized product that you put on it, and it can actually remove some of this, like this black algae that you see on this particular roof, in this photo here. Yes, that can make a tremendous difference, but definitely not pressure washing, or sometimes people want to pressure wash with bleach. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. It ruins the shingles. So then we also want to talk about the daytime photos. This is what your buyer is seeing when they drive by. You want them to feel like, oh, I can hang out here. It's so cozy. You want them to start developing ideas of how they're going to live in the house. When you can start developing those ideas for buyers, you've got the house sold, because they're mentally moving in, and that's what we want to do, is mentally move them in. Same thing with evening shots. This is a really fantastic way to stand out in the MLS. There's not a whole lot of evening photos that I have seen on the MLS. There's a few on some of the luxury properties, but if you go and you list a luxury home, highly recommend doing some twilight shots. Maybe it's the clients need to add some uplighting to their landscaping. It makes such a tremendous difference, and it really, really pulls people in to want to look at the property. All right, let's talk about the importance of paint. Now, paint choices can really make or break a room. It's very important to make the correct color recommendations, and that can be very challenging sometimes. So, but you will see, as in this photo, this builder, he actually wanted to do a black wall, which worked very well in this particular home. And the reason why he actually selected this wall over normally an accent wall is going to be on a bed wall, but he wanted to highlight this fantastic view. And I think he did a tremendous job by making that wall black. It instantly pulls your eye back there, and what's the first thing you see? You see the window and you see those two chairs, and it makes you just want to go hang out on a nice sunny day. I mentally moved in when I saw it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to use neutral paint colors, and we want to accessorize with color. So the more neutral you can make a home in the way of wall color, the color that you put in can be in the furniture, and it can be in the accessories. Those are the things that can go away. People can connect with a neutral wall much more so than a pink wall, for example. This room would look drastically different if it was styled in grays and whites and the walls were pink. It would turn off a whole bunch of people. All right, so let's talk about some color some more. So we have warm and cool schemes. Warms are going to be your browns, your oranges, some of your deeper yellows. That's a warm kind of, think fall is kind of warm. Then we also have cool tones. So we have some cool tones, can be blues, greens, some grays can be cool tones. So when you're selecting a color, you want one color to be the dominant color, and then you have other colors are going to be your accent colors. When you have long and narrow rooms, sometimes we walk into a room and it feels like it's a bowling alley because it's so narrow. An easy way to make that room expand and feel wide and open is to actually paint the far wall from the door a dark color, because they will recede, versus if it was a light color, it would come towards me. So I want that to go out, and it's going to go wide. Okay. And then also visual weight. When you have a lot of pattern going on in a room, it makes the room feel smaller, and it makes it feel very busy. It makes it very difficult for the eye to rest. So what we want to do is we want to tone down all the patterns. A few patterns are fine. We just don't want to go overboard. Okay. When you mute things and you go, when you mute them, it helps the room feel larger. smaller rooms. When you're dealing with smaller rooms, you want to make the select furnishings that are in the same color family, like what you're seeing here with this room here. We had white walls, and I know white walls are so super hot right now. I don't know how they are. I'm assuming they are in your market. Is that accurate? Okay. The room really wasn't that big, but I needed to make it look big and give it a lot of seating. So I went with white sofas to make the room feel larger. Okay. And then let's talk about lighting. Light and color are so drastically important. The fluorescents give you a cool tone. I'm not a fan of fluorescent, but I am a huge fan of cool tones because I feel like they make a room lighter and brighter. So I always use white light or daylight bulbs in the lamps. It will make a tremendous difference in how your home shows and how it photographs. There's something about the incandescent. It's like it got a yellow or a red undertone, and it brings out warmth. It actually can make people look a little sickly. So that's why for example, in a bathroom, you never want to have incandescents because it doesn't give a true, it doesn't show the true color. So by bringing in white light and daylight bulbs, you're instantly going to make the room feel a lot larger, and it's going to feel very comfortable for people. And then also the location of the color within an interior space is it's going to make a real impact on how that room feels. So if you remember the last photo that I showed you that had that black feature wall, it really created drama and effect. It's a very memorable room. So that's what color can do for you. Can do for you as well. But you have to know how to use it and use it well. Okay, so let's talk about some tips for staging interior rooms. Yes, definitely capture this on, screenshot it, or if you want to take a picture of this, because it's going to be some great information, just some basics that you can share with your clients. You always want to stand in the doorway of a room and survey the space. I always look at, I always want my eye to go to the farthest corner of the room. If my eye is drawn there, all of a sudden that space feels a lot larger. And also something that I want you to pay attention to, I'm going to use the word feel an awful lot while we're talking. And the reason why I'm doing that is because staging creates emotion, and we're trying to develop that for buyers. Okay, so remember, it's an emotional decision, and this is how we're going to get the buyers to fall in love. I care about how the buyer feels. That's what I'm cluing into. Okay. Also, you need to ask, what is the purpose of each room? Sometimes when you have let's say we have a family and they've got little ones, sometimes they don't use that formal dining room and they use it as a formal dining room. They will use it as a playroom, or it might be a study. Well, just because they live like that doesn't mean that's how you want to sell it like that. Okay? You always want to return the room to the original purpose, and think about, who is your buyer? Who is my target buyer? Who am I trying to attract? Am I trying to attract the young families that have the little ones? Am I trying to attract the empty nester? Because those two buyers have completely different visions of how they would live in the house. Okay? So even though I may be trying to attract a young family, return the room to the original purpose. You also want to remove everything that is not absolutely necessary. Clutter. Things that they don't need. Everything but large pieces. Okay? I also want you to think about too, how is this room going to photograph? Because when you have a lot of stuff around, it's not going to photograph well. Our eye picks up, our eye looks at a room completely different than how a camera looks at a room. So if you're not sure what it's going to look like in the photo, go ahead and take some iPhone photos and check it out yourself and say, does this look cluttered? Does this space feel large? That's going to really help you. We also want to put things in categories for our clients. Either they need to sell it, we're going to donate it, we're going to pack it up, or we're going to keep it to use either in this room or another room. Now let's talk about packing up. Sometimes we struggle with getting our clients to pack what we want them to pack. This is what I always tell them. You're gonna have to do it anyways. Let's go ahead and let's get all of the hard work done before we put the house on the market, because we only have one shot to give them a fantastic first impression. So if we go ahead and we pack up everything, we go ahead and we do all of the work, by the time I come in and I have my stager stage the property, I do my photographs, and I put it on the market, your house is ready and it becomes very easy. Then we have showings, and then guess what? Now we're sitting down and we're talking about all the offers that are on the table. How easy is that? And then now you have 30 or 45 days, however long that contract is for you to get all of your stuff out and make it an easy transition. The less things that you have to do during that 30 to 45 day window that you're transitioning, the easier your life is. I want to make your life easy. Okay. As we are accessorizing, we accessorize with larger scale items. Think the size of cantaloupes or basketballs. And we also want to consider there might be a better way to lay out the furniture. How we live and how we sell are two different things. I have so many people say to me all the time, I bet your house is gorgeous. I just can't wait to see it. And I said, I laugh every time because it's like, y'all, I live in my house. You know, sometimes I'll admit the bed doesn't get made. And guess what? That's reality. I don't sell reality. I sell fantasy. Okay? We're selling fantasy here. And then as we accessorize, we always want to put our groupings together in odd numbers, ones, threes, fives. And the reason why we do this is that's how it's done in nature, and it's very relaxing to the eye.
Anthea?
Yes.
Hi, you're getting some really good responses and feedback about your information. Are you planning on sharing your slides or handouts or the recording?
I absolutely can share the recording. Yes, that's no problem at all. So yes, you can always come back and revisit this. So I want to make you such an awesome agent and just feel so empowered when you go into your listings, you know, that you're in control, that you can make this house look amazing, and you can get this house sold and feel confident in that. Okay, let's talk about furniture scale. To create a room with balance, scale is super, super, super important, okay? And as what you will see, for example, in this photo here, we did a really large piece of art, but it balances that fireplace oh so nicely. And it's not full of bright colors or overpowering. Being a black and white actually kind of tones it down. So it draws the eye where I want you to focus. I want you to take a look at that fireplace. Also, if you will notice, on the coffee table here, and also behind it, there's the greenery. And the reason why we've got tall greeneries there is because I want to pull your eye to that back corner. And then you also see the sliding glass doors there, which leads you out to that back patio. But I have drawn your eye exactly where I want it to go, and that's to the far space in the room. I also, as a stager, how I stage is I always think about where's the photographer going to stand. Now, if I lived in this house, I may not set my furniture up this way. As a matter of fact, I probably would not, but that's okay, okay? I care about photographs and making it feel livable and comfortable, and that's what we're selling. Here's another example. You saw this photo earlier with the white sofas. I needed to sell a lot of seating. I created symmetry in this room so everything felt balanced. And then it's relaxing. People can come in and go, they can take a deep breath. And that's exactly what we want them to do. We want the buyers to linger. We want them to sit down on the sofa, put their feet up on the coffee table and say, all right, a full price offer or more. Let's do it. Okay, so, you know, our world has changed. And especially in the last couple months, boy, we're all experiencing this new thing. This teaching on this Zoom is so new for me. It's so different. You know, we have to adapt, we have to change. We've got Google. Everybody can be self-diagnosed themselves. We communicate very quickly. I remember, actually, I was just talking to my 14-year-old about this weekend. We were talking about when her dad and I first met, we communicated via email. And email was like a real new thing at that point. And she was just shocked because email is so old school for her. You know, she texts, she does the instant messaging, and like they're so used to having instant information. Your buyers are the same way. And also something very interesting is that half of your internet users quit looking at a video if it takes more than 10 seconds to load. Our attention span is very short. So we have got to grab your buyer's attention and keep it. And that's my question. Does your listing capture their attention? Does it make them say, ooh, I've got to look at 10 homes this weekend, and this is the first house I'm looking at. I'm so excited. This is the best one on the list. Now, what this means for selling homes. So a joint study was done by National Association of Realtors and Google. And 90% of home buyers searched online during the home buying process, which I would say probably now it might even be a little more than that. Buyers performed an average of 11 searches before they took action on a real estate site. So what that means is that 90% of the buyers are going to see your listing along with 10 others before even contacting you to view the house. So we have got to grab their attention online. Photos and the internet, that MLS is today's open house. You have got to draw them in and get them very excited about seeing this house.
Anthea, you've got a question. Do you want it?
Sure.
Now? Okay. If you have a client who lives out of town and needs to sell, should you suggest selling everything she wants to anyway and renting furniture, or just keeping the furniture and selling afterwards as an estate sale?
It is, it's always a case-by-case basis. Sometimes some homeowners have phenomenal furniture that will connect with the target buyer. Some clients are going to have some dated or worn out furniture or very loved furniture, shall we say. And it's not going to serve the home well. So sometimes it all just needs to all come out. So as a matter of fact, this weekend I was at a property in Nashville. They're listing it. They've got it on the market for 3.3 million. And it's a stunning, they've called it the French Chateau, and that's exactly what it is. It's a stunning property. The challenge with it, it's been sitting on the market. They've had no showings whatsoever. The photos I saw online were okay, but they didn't sell me on 3.3 million. So they called me in and they said, we really need to sell this house. How can you help us? So after looking at it, there were some furniture that was just like antiques. Do not use antiques. The majority of buyers hate antiques. They gotta go. And this house had a lot of antiques. And we started talking about, well, who's our buyer? And we were talking it out, and really it's like the 30, 40 somethings that can afford that really super high price, which is shocking to me. But you know, we have a lot of celebrities here that live in town. We have a lot of very highly paid professionals. That's going to be somebody who's going to buy this house. It could also be somebody from out of town. One of these big cities like LA or New York is going to be drawn to a property like this. Antiques are not going to cut it. So we have got to bring in furniture that I would consider transitional to appeal to that particular buyer. I've got to shave the years off of this house so that the buyer doesn't feel like they're looking at grandma's house and they're looking at their house. Okay. Also, so you're going to have two very best friends before you put a house on the market. One best friend is your stager. And we're going to talk about how you find that stager and how you guys work together. Your second best friend is a professional photographer. It is always worth the money to invest in professional photography. Lighting is key. I will tell you, I have a photographer that I use for all of the properties we stage. She brings in we've worked together for like 10 years, and she brings in all this extra lighting, and I have compared her photographs to other local photographers in town, and she runs circles around them because of the extra lighting that she brings in. I've had a house photographed by multiple photographers, and I've literally compared them side by side by side. And the one that I've had forever runs circles around everybody else. So find a really good photographer who knows how to take interior photos. And it's not just the $99 photographer for 20 images person. Okay, invest in good photography. Somebody who takes this as a skill and an art, and you will see a tremendous difference in how quickly your listings will sell. Now we get to talk about some bad MLS photos, some of my favorite parts. Okay, this is one of them. Yikes. What do you see wrong with this photo? Unmute yourself and chime in. I'd love to hear some feedback. Anyone venture a guess?
It looks kind of floral on the couch.
Say that again, something about the couch?
I said all the focus, all I see is the couch. Can't see the rest of the room.
Yes! Like, it blocks you right away. All of a sudden, I'm gonna guess the photographer was standing at the front door, at the entryway there, and boom, this sofa is just blocking it. This would have been such a much better photo if they had flipped the low profile chairs and that sofa. It would have photographed so much better. Also, it's just we got a little bit of clutter going on. We've got some extra stuff that's really not necessary that takes away from the room. Okay.
Someone says bad lighting and shadows.
Amen on that. It's not bright, it's not light. Yeah. Okay. Where were we marketing to? Now, this MLS photo, these are, I promise, these really were on the MLS, okay? I know it's shocking. But we all know what a toilet looks like. Not a good shot of the bathroom, and a dirty toilet and the lid up, not good either, okay? And then this photo up on the far right, like if we were marketing to some felons, this would be a little attractive, right? But it looks cold, it looks wet, it looks damp, it looks moldy. Yikes. I do not know of anybody who says that this would look amazing and, oh, I want to go buy that. Our photo down on the right-hand corner, yeah, I know y'all have walked into some of these houses. Now, come on now, right? We've all seen them. There's just way too much going on. You can't focus on anything. The only thing that you're going to attract may be a very low-ball investor, if you attract them at all. Not good. It's uncomfortable for the seller to get rid of stuff sometimes. We're going to talk about that, but we've just got to do it. I'm a big believer. The homeowner is responsible to give you something to market. As an agent, it's your job to market it. Okay? But they have to give you something worth marketing. And this is part of the process in order to market it. Okay, here are some very poorly staged properties. Let's talk about why. Let's take a look at this photo up in the left-hand corner. Anybody have an idea why this is not a good staging photo? Unmute yourself and chime in.
Kind of looks like the wrong furniture for that room.
No balance.
Uh-huh. What is the focus of this room?
The outside.
Yes! And what's the first thing you see?
Little
The
chair.
table. We missed $1 million shot right there. Now, if this furniture had been flipped, it would look better. It'd automatically pull your eye back there. But without knowing the true room and what it really looked like, this could have been an ideal setup for this room, but different furniture would be necessary. And we also did not do the job of pulling the eye to that gorgeous view. That's what you're selling, is that gorgeous view right there, okay? All right, let's take a look at the photo right below that where we have the chair and the side table. What's wrong with that?
Looks like they don't know what to do with their room, like it's useless.
Yeah. Your buyers will not pay for square footage if they don't know what to do with it. Does this really show size and scale? Or does it look cheap? It looks cheap. We didn't know what to do. We didn't complete a room. Nobody just has a side table and a chair in their house like that. That's not any kind of fantasy that I think of. That's not my dream. You got to give them their dream. All right, let's talk about the next photo, the one on the far right. What are you seeing here? Do you remember what I talked about earlier with about lots of pattern? We got a lot of pattern going on. Probably could have been a better layout. And then we're also really dark in that back corner. It doesn't pull my eye back there. So I've really made the room look a lot smaller than what it truly is. Okay. These are some photos. Some agents tried to do some staging themselves. I applaud them, A, for effort. Execution, not so much. but the effort was definitely there. Let's talk about this photo up on the far left-hand corner. What do you see in that? What about size and scale? Are chairs looking really, really short compared to the bed? Not sure. The rug makes your floor look really choppy. We have a really big separation of the artwork and the chairs. So they're not doing what I call communicating. We have a lot of negative space there. And just, we've got a lot of the side tables are very, feel very light and airy, and the bed feels really heavy, okay? So it's that visual weight. We're completely out of balance here. Let's talk about this next photo. What else do you see there?
Someone says it needs a larger rug.
Amen. Mm-hmm. Does it help this room at all? This staging, which I have a hard time even calling it staging. The stuff, it doesn't enhance the room. I will tell you, an empty, vacant room is much better than a poorly staged room. All right, so let's go back to photography. The very best thing that you can invest in is photography. Do not do iPhone photos. You can tell there's a huge difference, and I'm going to share with you some of that as well. This is a property we staged. On the photo on the left, that was my iPhone photo. The property on my right was a professional photo. Next shot, same thing. I shot the photo on the left. This was the professional on the right. Do you see the difference lighting makes? It's really powerful, really powerful. My iPhone shot, not even good enough for the MLS. My professional shot, that could go on an Architectural Digest. Magazine shot. That's what we're looking for. All right, questions. What can I answer for you so far?
Do you always use just the seller's furnishings and furniture, or do you have some extra things that you bring in that are your own?
Every stager is going to be different. My particular company, all I do are vacant properties. Okay. So sometimes a seller is going to have some really good furniture that we can use that they're okay about leaving. I won't put my my furniture in a house that's being lived in. Now, not every stager is like that. Everyone has a different business model and different ways of doing their business. We have just chosen to only do vacant properties where people don't live in them. And the reason why is I just learned people don't take care of my stuff the way that I would take care of it. But in certain instances, like what I was talking about, the house that I looked at this weekend, the clients, the sellers were not living there, and they had some good pieces that could be used. So we will incorporate that in our staging. We may use it in a different room or use it in a different fashion. But if there's good pieces that we can use, absolutely, we can mix in stuff. You will have other stagers who will only use the client's furnishings, and they may just bring in artwork and accessories and things like that. So it's just going to be a matter of finding out exactly what your stager's business model is. And like, I have agents that I work for that whenever they have a vacant listing, they call me. And then when they have an occupied property, they call someone else, you know, because we specialize in different things.
Okay, well, are there accessories that maybe we could keep on hand as agents, just that you would recommend to kind of give maybe it's not a vacant home, but maybe they have zero decorating style, and you see the quintessential vase of lemons or whatever. Can you make suggestions as to things we could keep on hand?
Absolutely. So, and some agents will do that. And I highly recommend that, especially if you're working with a very small budget. Throw pillows for sure. Most people don't have really good throw pillows. And go in your neutrals, your beiges, your whites, your creams. Sometimes you can get some with a pop of color. I would always stay away from the color red. Red does not sell well. It does not photograph well. And it looks very dated. Also, I would be conscientious of what I would call, you all familiar with Kirkland's, the home decor store?
Mm-hmm.
I would be conscientious of the Kirkland's style for your lower price properties. Because that stuff tends to be a little bit more traditional. Traditional is going to be a lot of curvy lines, and that younger generation, they like the clean straight lines. Okay.
Should every room be painted the same color when we're selling a house?
It is always preferred you do the same color, and the reason why you do that is it helps the house to flow, especially if you are not listing a house that is the big wide open spaces, like what we have now, where we've got that combination of the kitchen and the living and the dining are all open into one big space. If that's not a situation that you're dealing with, you definitely want to keep the same color throughout the whole house, or maybe a tone lighter or darker throughout the house. That will help it to flow and feel a lot larger.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for now?
We've got a couple online.
Okay.
How do you politely tell a seller who is convinced their furniture and layout is fantastic that the home needs a professional stager without offending them?
Yes, is that not a sticky situation to step into? I will definitely be talking about it more later. But that's just where you sit down and say, you know what, you have gorgeous things, and I understand why you love them and how beautiful they are to you. But I want you to take into consideration who our target buyer is. This is who our target buyer is. They are a young couple. They're a first-time home buyer. They probably don't have children yet, but they will have children coming in once they live here. So we really need to style and present the house so that it's attractive to them. It's all about transitioning our house from being your home into a product that we can market to our target buyers to attract the largest price. And I will also tell you, I find that a lot in the luxury market. I get a lot of, well, my interior designer has done my house. Well, isn't that fantastic? They design the house to appeal to the seller and how the seller wants to live. It's not necessarily going to attract the buyer. 9 times out of 10, when I walk into an interior designed home, I have to scale down, take away so much stuff because they're decorating and they're not styling it to sell it. 2 different things. We have 2 different goals here. The interior designer wants the client to love their home, feel comfortable and cozy and live the way they want to live in it. The stager wants to market that house and sell it for the highest dollar.
All right, here's another question. In general, what does it cost to stage a vacant home that's around 3,000 square feet?
Okay, I'm really going to go into pricing at towards the end of our conversation. So if I can hold that question, I will definitely be answering that in our session. And if that's the last question for now, we can go ahead and take our 10-minute break. I am going to put up a timer and then see you all back here in 10 minutes. So let me get
Carlene, are you there? Carlene, are you there?
Hi.
It's Janine. Have you been able to see me?
Yes, I've seen you the whole time. Yeah.
Okay, I was having issues. You know me and my
No.
technology.
Well, you got it worked out.
Well, it's great stuff. So
Good.
it's good. Thank you.
Good.
I'm going to
I'm
go
so
back.
glad.
Pardon?
I said I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's been very helpful.
Carlene,
Hey.
Carlene, are you
Chris.
considering more Zoom classes like this for certifications?
Yes, we were kind of waiting to see for a little while how, this virus thing was going to go. Most of the designation classes, are a full day or 2 full days. So that's what we're running into with the Zoom. It's not the easiest thing to sit through, 2 8-hour classes. But yeah, we're definitely, I've got the senior real estate specialist coming in, and I believe the SRS as well.
Great.
Okay, and GRI.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, we ready to get started?
Absolutely.
Okay, so as I was saying before, this is all about the buyer. That's what we are focusing on, is this buyer. Staging creates that space that enhances how they feel in the space. So when you can develop that emotion that they feel in the house, what you're actually doing is you're marketing and you're merchandising the property for them. All right, so let's talk about some stats. So Generation Y, these are Generation Y and our millennials, the 21 through 38-year-olds. This came from the 2019 National Association of Realtors, their home buyer and seller generational trends report. And they found 69% of this age group are first-time home buyers, 61% married couples, 16 are not married couples, 39% commuting costs as very important, and then 51% bought new homes to avoid renovations and issues and problems with down payment. So to know who your target buyer is and some basic information about their generation is super important, okay? We also have our Generation X, which is the 39 through 53-year-olds. This is 24% of home buyers. They have the highest median income. Just over half of them, 56%, bought in a suburb or subdivision. And they are the most diverse population of home buyers that we have. Now we have our younger baby boomers. They are more likely to have children under 18 living at home. And they cite heating and cooling costs as very important. So these were the younger ones. These were 54 to 63, which were 18% of buyers. And then our older baby boomers, they're retiring. They're 64 to 72, 14% of our home buyers. Downsizing, they desire to be closer to friends and family. Our silent generation, that's our 73 plus. This is 7% of home buyers. They're most likely to be retired. They have the lowest income because they're generally on, they're not working. They've got a fixed income. They usually are the ones who are downsizing to become closer to family. 21% buy in a senior living community, and they're more likely to buy a new home. Probably because there's less maintenance, less work that needs to be done on a property. So understanding the basics of what each generation is looking for will really help you. So also knowing that, you know, the young ones are not gonna be drawn to something that necessarily the silent generation would be drawn to. So there's going to be some differences there. But all buyers, 33% of them were first-time home buyers, 63% were married, 37 children under 18 at home, and then 12% had a multi-generational situation where they had either their parents or adult children, those boomerang kids coming back and living with them. So that most important feature that you need to have on your listing is fantastic photos of the property, which will attract these buyers. So today's buyers, all they want is move-in ready, okay? They are, your fixer-uppers today are typically bought by the flippers and those investors. So, but your homeowner, they do, generally they're buying at their max that they can purchase. And so there's not a lot of room or any room left over for repairs or to upgrade or anything. So having that move-in house ready where all they really need to do is just bring their clothes and their furniture is what they're looking for. Now, benefits of buying a move-in ready home. It's definitely going to be the quickest. It's going to be the most worry-free option out there. They're going to avoid the problems of like the bad plumbing, leaks or roof leaks or things like that. And so what you want to do is buyers, they have a dream, they have a vision, they have a lifestyle that they're purchasing. It's not the sticks and bricks. It's a vision that they have, the dream. So what you want to do is you want to put that house on a silver platter for them. It's, the repairs have been done. It's clean. It's freshly painted. It feels good. And it's move-in ready. Okay. Also, what you're going to find is that buyers agents tend to show those a whole lot more so than a house in disrepair. Today's buyer also, they want to entertain immediately. Okay. Because they want to move in and they just want to show all their friends their awesome house that they just bought. And then it gives them a great opportunity to talk about that awesome agent that helped them get this house. So you need to communicate to your clients what buyers are looking for, okay? Buyers are going to compare. They're going to compare homes, all right? They're also going to do a lot of shopping around. They want to get the very best deal that they possibly can get. They want more for their money. They're very family oriented, and they are willing to wait for a good deal. So in order for your listing to look like the good deal, it's gotta be spectacular. It's gotta check all the boxes. Buyers view homes, professionally staged homes, as well maintained. Buyers agents also like to show those professionally staged homes because they have that move-in ready feel and they're inclined to show that house. It's a lot easier sale. It's a lot easier sale. So also professionally staged listings are going to stand out in the prospective buyers' minds. Generally because we're going to have the same color that flows throughout the house. We've thought about furniture layout and where we want the eye to be directed, that sort of thing. All right, so does staging really make a difference? We've talked about some fluff, but now we're going to talk about some numbers behind all of that. All right, so the Real Estate Staging Association, which is our equivalent to the National Association of Realtors, your organization, did an annual report proving that staging actually really does make a tremendous difference. So take pictures of these. If you want this good core meaty information, take pictures of or screenshot these, because this will really help you. RESA did a study of 634 homes. These were not staged, and they spent an average, now this is nationwide, okay? It could be totally different in your market, but I just want to share with you, these are nationwide numbers. These houses sat on the market for 107 days without staging. Now, they took the houses off the market, and they went ahead and staged these exact same houses, and they sold in 25 days. So it took 132 days to get these houses sold. Homes, comparable homes that were staged prior to going on the market sold an average of 18 days. So a staged house had 86% less time on market than the houses that were not staged. Pretty powerful stuff, okay? Let's talk about carrying costs and what this really costs for your clients. So we're just gonna take this example. We have a mortgage of $2,400. We have direct expenses of $1,000. Could be their utilities, their landscaping, costs like that. So a total carrying cost we're gonna throw in at $3,400 a month. So RESA found that these houses, by not having them staged with the 132 days, equal to 4.5 months on market. So we're going to take that at 5 months. We're just going to round up for easy numbers. And looked at, it costs them $17,000 in expenses. Yikes. Right? Now, had these homeowners went ahead and staged first, their time on the market definitely would have been cut by over 100 days. So we have 132 days on market minus 18 equals 114 days on market. Going to divide that by 30 for 30 days in the month, gives us 3.8 months. So we're just going to round that up to 4. So carrying costs without staging, 5 months at $17,000. Versus staging, investment in staging, and 1 month on the market, carrying costs of $3,400. So we saved $13,600 in carrying costs. What I have found in my market is, on average, Nashville, the zip codes that I focus on, right now, they're about 40 days on market. We have a very hot market. My company, we're selling them in 23 on average. It's not uncommon for the houses to be sold before they even hit the market. But also too, my gamut, I'm staging anywhere from a $200,000 house all the way up to your multi-million-dollar properties. And you know that those multi-millions can take a little while to sell. They're a harder sell. We have a much smaller buyer pool. So we're actually quite proud and feel that those numbers really back up the power of staging to be able to get them sold in 23 days on average. So agents tell us all the time, my clients don't listen, they don't understand it, they don't get it. We can't afford it. They won't do it. Let me just tell you, people are people. And these excuses, what you're hearing, the pushback with what you're hearing is because they're not educated. So that is our job as agents, is to educate them about staging and what it will do and how it will really affect them. Now, RESA did the survey of professional stagers, and they found that 92% of stagers are going to recommend repairs and upgrades to a seller when they're preparing their home. We're going to be real honest with them. We're going to have those awkward, uncomfortable conversations that you don't want to have. We're going to tell your clients that that wallpaper is ugly. Now, we'll say it in a really nice way, but we're going to tell you that it's ugly and it needs to be addressed, because we want to attract that buyer. And it's a lot easier coming from your stager than it is coming from you. And it keeps you from having those uncomfortable conversations. 89% of sellers were willing to address those repairs recommended, and 73.5% of their clients invested somewhere between $5,000 to $2,000 in repairs. A lot of repairs that can be done are either super inexpensive or free. And it could be things like cleaning light switches or tightening up screws, tightening up that leaky faucet. There's a gazillion little things that sellers can do that will really fine tune the house and not cost them a lot of money to do. Sometimes it's just like taking down window treatments, when we've got those 1980s balloon valances that just date the house. Let's shave the years off and let's just remove it. Now we have all this light coming in and it looks gorgeous, and it's going to feel really weird to them. Okay. It's going to feel really weird, but that's okay, because we want them to mentally move out. Okay. They are no longer investing their memories in this home. We want to mentally move them into their new house that you're going to help them find. Okay. And leave this beautiful house for these new buyers. So we are, as stagers, just positioned differently. When you sell us as, this is my marketing arm, this is my stager who really helps our houses look spectacular in photographs and draws and attracts the buyers, you have just positioned yourself out of those awkward conversations, and you've said, now you look more professional because you bring in professionals to do all of this. Okay. Can your clients afford not to stage? That's my big question. Do you want to leave all of that money on the table? How's your listing going to look compared to others, the competition on the market? Obviously, these are two different homes. The one on the left, not staged. It feels a little tired. It feels very well loved. It feels, and actually kind of creepy with that cat staring at you. Y'all see that cat? Then we have a house around the corner that's been staged. It feels fresh. It feels clean. And it's speaking to the demographic that I want it to speak to. It's speaking to the younger demographic. The one on the left does not appeal to your younger buyers. It's going to actually really turn them off, because it's going to remind them of, it's going to make them feel like they're buying somebody else's home versus they could be buying their own home. Questions on any of that?
What neutral paint color do you suggest?
Ooh, my magic color, Sherwin-Williams Repose Gray. Now, grays don't work in every single home, but Repose is a phenomenal soft gray. It works with warm color palette. It works with a cool color palette. It's really hard to mess that color up. So that's what I use an awful lot. Any other questions? Or can I move on?
That's it.
Okay, let's move on. So sometimes agents want to stage their own listings. And so I want to share with you some of the stuff that actually goes into it. So you need some basic resources. You're going to need moving truck, or you want to hire some movers. And then do you have a relationship with a paint provider? Your stager is going to have relationships already established, and they can actually help you with vendors, carpet cleaners, painters, that sort of thing. We work with these people all the time. So to be able to tap into that can be a huge benefit for you. We also have discounts, like RESA offers us the ability to get paint at a discounted rate, and like storage units and things like that, like pods and stuff like that. Okay, so renting furniture or owning inventory, that's an option as well. I will tell you, when I first got into staging, I started only doing redesign, working just with the homeowner's items. And then I went to Court Furniture Rental and had a staging meeting there, and figured out, oh, I could do some vacant properties because now I have access to the furniture. Well, then I took a look at what they were charging, and I said, ooh, I could do it better. And so that's how I ended up moving into doing vacant properties only. So I started developing my inventory. It literally started in my dining room, which was like a 10 by 12 at the time. Grew from my dining room into my garage, which then grew into 5 storage units, which then grew into a 6,000 square foot warehouse. And now we have a 14,000 square foot warehouse. It's absolutely nuts how it has grown. But we went the owning inventory route. You will also need to increase your staff and buy accessories. So this can start to become costly. I will say I had no idea all of the expenses that would be involved in starting a home staging business. I started out with buying all neutral furniture that could work in just about any kind of property. But then I started, because I started out in your small little $200,000 properties. And then as my reputation started to build, I started moving into higher priced properties, and they demanded higher quality furniture and different styles of furniture. And so I had to adapt in order to grow my market and to keep up with all of that. So my company has 12 people on staff in order to make all of our projects happen. But there are other staging companies that work with 2 people and have movers. So that's an option as well.
Anthea, do you offer buyers the opportunity to purchase the furnishings?
Yes, I do. I didn't originally because I couldn't replace it quick enough. And I bought everything retail at the time. And then I started purchasing wholesale. So I personally go to Furniture Market usually 3 times a year. I go out to High Point, North Carolina, and then I also go to Las Vegas. And I do my furniture purchasing all in those trips. And then I get shipped furniture and accessories all throughout the year, which I have found is just a fantastic way for us to buy. And I don't feel like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And then also, because of how we are set up in my warehouse, I actually have a showroom, and I have a girl that I have hired that handles all of our furniture sales. So a lot of times buyers will ask, can I purchase this sofa, or can I purchase this rug? And so she handles all of that. And so we do sell our furniture. It's a great other stream of income for us that I was not exactly intending on when I started the business, but it's also a great way for me to be able to turn inventory and keep it all fresh. So that's really important as well, because design styles change. So storage, like I said, I started out in my dining room. This is garages, extra bedrooms, storage units. Those are perfect places to store accessories and that sort of thing. So a lot of agents, if they want to get into like physically doing the staging, or on a small scale where they're like bringing in accessories and enhancing, absolutely, hands down, that's something that you can do. But just be prepared, because there's going to be an investment in that. And I will tell you, a lot of times in these occupied homes, you don't get your stuff back, or it doesn't come back in the condition that you left it. So you also want to have a contract for when you stage a property as well. And I'm going to talk about contracts in just a little bit as well.
Anthea, do you have anyone in the area you work with as far as stagers go that you would recommend?
I would start, I would go to RESA, which is, I go to their website, which is realestateStagingAssociation.com. And I would look for a stager in your area. And also I would just do a Google search. And I'm going to talk about how to find some of these stagers as well and things to look for. But you'll also want to have an inventory system, and you'll start needing a warehouse. So when I started, actually for the first 10 years of my company, I had zero inventory system. It was awful. I didn't have a way to track what I owned and all of that. And what we would do is we would go and stage a house, and we'd photograph every single thing that we put in there. And then that was my records of everything. Well, things have changed a little bit, and I have now a whole system, software system, and everything is tracked with an RFID tag. Everything has a number and a code attached to it. You will see in the photo on the right-hand side with all of those lampshades, all those white squares that you see up there, those are all our numbers that we have tagged, so that we can see what it is that we're looking for. So being organized and having an inventory system is crucial to this business. And depending upon the price point of the home, you're going to be likely to spend anywhere from about $1,500 to $4,000 in accessories. And it's not unheard of. It's not at all crazy in some of these luxury properties to have well over $10,000 in just accessories. So it can get very expensive very quickly. You will also need to get educated when it comes to paint. Paint is and color is very, very tricky. So understanding basics about color and how to really enhance a room. Which way does the house face? So is it getting morning sun, afternoon sun? Those kinds of things are part of the process. And then being prepared to give that kind of advice. Extra insurance. So if you're moving furniture and you're staging, it is absolutely critical that you carry liability insurance specific to your duties here, okay? And you will need the correct type of insurance. I carry liability insurance, and I also carry workers' comp. That protects myself, it protects my clients, to know that if one of my staff twists an ankle and needs to go to the hospital, that my client and my agent is not going to get sued. We've got that covered. So these are some also things you need to think about. Contracts. You have got to have a contract. This is going to be outside of your listing agreement, okay? Because this is a whole different scope of work. It's imperative that you have a written agreement and that you manage the expectations. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to cover some of the details that go into contracts as well. Logistics. When I started a staging company, I thought I was starting a staging company, and in reality, I started a logistics business. It is a lot of moving parts. And I will tell you, there is nothing worse being a stager, showing up. I've prepped, my team of 12 has prepped for the property. They have gotten the truck loaded. We've hired the movers and we've booked them. They have come in, they've loaded the truck. We show up to the property and the property is not ready. That is the absolute worst thing that can happen to us because I have to turn the truck around. And unfortunately, I have to charge the client a rescheduling fee because my movers charge me and I've lost a day of work. So there's all of these logistics that go into making sure that we also have to have everything ready for the house. So I need about 3 days to prep for a project. If we don't have the right piece that we need, or we don't have enough pillows, or we don't have the correct rug, I got to figure out, I got to do last minute shopping, and I got to get that in, because it's not just about putting furniture in, it's got to be the right piece that has to go in. And then it's also communicating with the clients as well. All right, so my question is, do you really have the time to do it? I know I do have some agents that I know of here in town that actually, they have hired a stager to work solely for them, and as an employee, and that stager goes in and does all of the prep work with the client and works them and gets the photographer booked and all of the things that need to go into it, and they handle that front end portion of it. It's very, very difficult to stage and sell houses. It's really one or the other, because if you're in my home staging today, all your other clients are wondering, why are you not out selling my house? And then when next week, when you're in someone else's house staging, then the client wants to know, how come you're not selling my house? All right, so the best way to go about doing this is find a professional for your team. Professionals hire professionals. So you've got your title rep, you have your mortgage lenders, and I know you've got some fantastic mortgage lenders and you couldn't do your job without them. Same with home inspectors, and adding a great stager to your team will significantly change your business. All right, so here are just some facts. We're going to talk about what it takes to working with a professional stager. So RESA categorizes the stagers into two different categories. One is your hobbyist. Oh, I love to decorate. I just love homes. They want to go in and they really don't have the education behind it. There's not a proven track record. These are more of your wannabe decorators versus your professionals who are your educated marketing experts. I have, since when I first started staging, I kept calling myself, I'm a stager, I'm a stager, I'm a stager. And then I realized that I'm not really describing accurately what I do. I'm a marketer. That's what we do. We go in and we highlight a home to market it. It's not, the way I set up the furniture may not be the way that someone's going to live in the house, but it's going to be the way that it's going to photograph the best and make the buyer feel really good. Okay, so that's what I'm doing as a professional. I'm a professional marketer. I have education. I keep on top of education. I have a proven track record. I can share my stats with my clients. I have a ton of stories that go along with it. I carry insurance. I use professional movers. I also have in-house employees that can serve as my movers as well. I have professional portfolio. I hire professional photographers to shoot my work. And I'm also going to go in, and I'm never just going to put furniture in a house. I'm going to talk to that homeowner about, or that agent about some of the flaws we need to fix. And I'm going to be brutally honest with them. And sometimes the houses are in such rough shape and we're working on a limited budget that I've actually told the client, don't stage this house. The staging is not going to fix your problems. We need to put the limited budget that you do have, we need to put that into some repairs and some painting, and we need to fix the things that the buyers cannot get past, okay? So having a home in great condition is the start, and then I come in and then really bring the house to life. That's what your stager's there to do. So here are some things that you want to look for when you're hiring a stager. First of all, hands down, you want to interview multiple staging companies. Just like every real estate agent is different, every staging company is different. We have different business models. Some only will stage occupied properties. Some will only stage vacant properties. Some will do a combination of the two. Some get very heavy into, they could be doing project management where they can take over and say, okay, here's a list of all of the repairs that need to be done. I will manage that process for you and get all the vendors in here and get that done. And then they come in and they style it. So when you are looking at a stager, you're not looking for that low price leader. Low price will give you low quality, and it's cheap. It's your hobbyist. When you are looking for a stager, it's not about price. It's about who's going to give you the best value, who's going to bring the most value to your business. Who is going to make you look good to your clients? You want to take a look at their portfolio. I will tell you, in years past, and it's not as prevalent now as it has been in the past, but I still see it a lot, is a lot of some newer stagers will claim something as their work, and it's really not. Or they will use stock images on their website. So when you sit down with a stager, ask them about their work. What's their experience? And you may have gone on their website and gone, this house is just okay. It's all right. But you don't know the story behind it. You know, it could have been an occupied property and maybe the client had like no money, but the way that they were able to rearrange the furniture and bring in a little bit of accessories to highlight it, it could have actually been a miracle the way that they made it look. So find out the story behind it. They may have been able to really do a tremendous job with a very small budget. Now, do they own their inventory or they rent it? That's a really big question. Because sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with either way. I have chosen, my route has been to own my inventory. I have control over it. I can select the pieces that I want versus being limited to what a rental company offers. And my rates are better than the big box rental stores. So it's much more cost effective for me to do that. But everybody has a different model. So it's depending upon what access they have. Some staging companies are just starting out and they have very limited resources. So if you're seeing like the same sofa in every single photo, it's kind of an indication that they really, either they're just brand new, they're not starting out, they don't have the experience, or they don't have the funds to grow their inventory. So that might be something to think about as well. All right, let's talk about some staging contracts. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of all of this. So our description of services, we're going to include the entire scope of the project. This is what we're doing, and this is what to expect. No surprises. I don't want you to think that I'm going to stage the entire house and all I'm going to do is stage the main rooms. So we've got to be clear on what's happening. Payment expectations and monthly rental. If you are renting furniture, your stager is going to expect to be paid up front. This is industry standard. We have thousands and thousands of dollars invested in furniture, and we are not the bank. So we're going to expect to get paid on the front end. Okay, that's standard industry protocol for us. We get paid up front. Our cancellation and rescheduling fees. It's just like what I talked about earlier. I showed up with my movers and the house wasn't ready. They were still installing the backsplash in the kitchen. Great. I can't work in those conditions. Okay. The house has to be, all of the vendors have to be done with their work It needs to be cleaned. You want to clean on the front end. Anything that your stager brings in, they're going to, or tracks in, they're going to clean right up and they're going to leave it ready for photos. So clean on the front end. You would not want to put your furniture down on a dirty house. Your stager doesn't want to do that either, okay? So they will cancel. If they show up and the house isn't ready, expect a cancellation fee and a rescheduling fee. My movers charge me if the house is not ready and I've got to turn around. So I have to pass that cost on to the client. Also getting the client to consent. They have to sign off on, yeah, we know that furniture's getting in the house and we're good. We're good with it. So generally what you're going to see is the contract is between the staging company and the homeowner, okay? Hold harmless, absence of warranties. This is also something very common in our contracts. I'm never going to guarantee that your house is going to sell, okay? Staging is a very important component of marketing, but I can't fix everything. So if it's overpriced, it's overpriced. Artistic impressions. Please do not go into a home that has been staged and start to move things around. That is the worst thing that you can do to your stager. There is psychology and a reason why your stager put that piece of artwork where they did, or that greenery, or they laid the table out the way that they did. There's a reason behind it. If it feels awkward and you're just not sure, that can be a phone call to say, hey, give me your thought process behind why you did this. But to go and just change things and move things around, that's the first thing that just gets our blood boiling. And it's like, you have just totally destroyed my work. And I did what I did for a reason. And this was why I did what I did. And now you've just shot yourself in the foot. You've actually hurt yourself in getting that property sold quicker. Photography and publicity release. We're always going to photograph our properties. They may not be for MLS, but we're always going to photograph. And I personally, for my luxury properties, I bring in my photographer and then I share those with the agents and give them the ability to use that. So you're going to want to find out, does your stager do that? And can you use them? Can I use it for anything outside of marketing it on the MLS? Like, can I use it in print advertising, or can I put it on my website and use it as my homepage photo because it's so amazing? Okay, so you need to get permission for all of that. Pets, most stagers will not put furnishings in a house that has a pet. We want to figure out creative ways to work around that. But more often than not, you're going to find a no pet rule because our inventory just gets damaged. Inventory damage and loss. Stuff gets stolen, it gets broken, it is on the homeowner to replace or repair. And that's common. It's just like renting a car. If you rent the car and you scratch the side of the door, the car rental company is going to expect you to replace that and fix that and pay for that. So same thing with the furniture rental. Scheduling and rescheduling. The more a house install date moves, the tougher it is on your stager. And also, please do not book your photographer before you book your stager. That puts us in a really bad crunch time. And I guarantee you, if you make it difficult, I've got to hurry up and get it in a certain time or a certain day, you're not going to get your stager's best work. Okay. Getting a key for vacants. Some staging companies require that if we're putting furniture in a vacant property, that they have a copy of the key. Once again, it goes back to, we have thousands of dollars worth of inventory. And if we don't have access to that, that can create a problem for us. And then insurance and general liability. We're going to talk about insurance that we're covered. You want to make sure your homeowner's covered, which is going to be the, I have general liability in case my mover scratched the hardwood floor. It happens. It's not intentional. Stuff sometimes goes sideways, but we're going to talk about what happens within that contract if something does like that happen. Okay. All right. You also want to find out if they are covered by workers' comp. Super, super, super important. Owner operators, your single home stagers. Yes, state of Tennessee says that they are exempt, that you do not have to have workers' comp if you have less than 5 employees. But guess what? They still can sue you. And they can still, if they get hurt on the job, they can sue your homeowner and they can sue you. And they want to sue everybody. And guess who gets caught up in a lawsuit? Exactly what you were wanting, right? Your time and your energy, the emotion. Let's just avoid all that. Let's make sure everybody's covered before they step foot in the house. Okay, never ever talk about staging with your client until you know your stager and you have checked references. You've talked with other agents that have used them, or you have talked with other homeowners. You've gotten testimonials, you've gotten referrals. You also want to understand what their policies and their procedures are. I have a policy, I will not stage a house if the house is not ready. And I'm sorry, it makes it difficult for everybody involved. Me the most, because I've got people involved and I got to back up and punt and I've lost a day of work. But you have to understand what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do, and how you can work together. You also need to make sure you understand their contracts, because your homeowner is going to ask you questions. Well, what does this mean? You need to understand their policies. They also need to understand how you work. I work one way with some agents, I work another way with others. Everybody has a different way of working. And so if we are a good match and I can work with you, I understand your expectations, you understand what mine are, and we are a good team, we work together. If we're not clear about what each other's policies and procedures are, it makes it very difficult to work well together. And then you're not exactly what to say to your clients. How do you introduce this? How do you approach the subject? What are the words? Your stager is going to help you with all of that. That's what we do. Okay. Are we expensive? That's the big question. Okay. And I will say expensive is really relative to the direction the check is going. Okay. On average, generally speaking, nationwide, staging services should cost about 1% of sales price. My market here in Nashville is a little different. It's about 0.5% to 0.75%. And it's going to range drastically different price point wise. The lower priced homes are going to be closer to that 1% or even could be higher. My higher priced properties are going to be on the lower end of that spectrum. So it just depends upon what your particular market bears and what your stagers are charging there. Staging is an investment. You're not spending money, you're investing money to enhance the return on your investment. Okay, so let's talk pricing. This is for an average house, 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. Consultations, verbal or written. Your stager's going to walk into the property. The only thing that my company does with occupied properties is we will do what we call walkthrough or verbal consultations. My lead designer will walk through the property. She'll talk about what's working, what's not working, how to fix that. Okay? This is instructions and advice only. The homeowner is going to take notes and then they're going to execute what my stager has asked her to do. So your verbals are going to be on average about 245 up to about, there could be about 500 depending upon the size of the home. And then your writtens are going to usually start about 500 to 750. Once again, it's all about the price of the home, or excuse me, the size of the home. We have staging occupied properties. They're bringing in furniture, they're bringing in accessories, and they're doing the work. They're rearranging the furniture. They're getting it camera ready, okay? On average, we're looking at about just over $1,100 to $3,700. Vacant properties. We are bringing in all brand new, or all furniture, and furnishing, generally speaking, this is going to be your main living areas. If you wonder what are the best rooms to stage, living room, dining room, kitchen, master bedroom, and master bathroom. Those are your 5 key areas. A lot of times we will also stage a study or a bonus room. Or I also suggest if you have an awkward shaped space or a space you're not quite sure what the purpose of it is, stage it. If you also have very, very small secondary bedrooms, stage them. And the reason is because buyer's gonna walk in and they're going, I can't put a bed in here. When in all actuality, a queen size bed fits actually really nicely, but you gotta show it to them. Put it on the silver platter for them. And then you're looking at about $2,900 to just over $5,000 on average for a home, for a vacant staging. Now, stagers will also offer some optional services. Once again, everyone has a different business model. So you've got to find the stager that has a business model and the style that they work complements the way you work. And some are going to specialize in downsizing. Sometimes we have seniors that need to go from their 10,000 square foot mansion to some assisted living. So they can help with the downsizing aspect of it. We talked about project management earlier. They can coordinate the vendors and get the painters in there and do all of those kinds of things. Clutter management. Sometimes they will pack and box things up and get them out into storage for your clients. And then also, your clients may not need a staging consultation. They just need help with some paint colors. You know, still have that red dining room. We got to fix that. What's going to be the right color? And then also redesign, which is just working with the homeowner stuff. We're not bringing in anything. So this is the labor behind all of that. So find out what your stager offers. So when you want to work with a stager, you are collaborating versus hiring, okay? This is part of your team. And when you sell it to your sellers, hey, I bring in a professional stager, and my stager is a professional at getting your house ready and marketable. And that's how you sell it, okay? When you say that, oh, we hire a stager, that gives the idea, the connotation that it's actually optional. You don't want them to feel like it's optional. There are actually agents that I know that will not take a listing if the client does not stage. That's how important they feel staging is. And when you collaborate with your stager, you're developing trust. Our goal, what we want, there's nothing more that we want than to make you happy. There is nothing more that we want than to get this house to be sold quickly. So we are on your team. We're not here to fight with you about should it be a rectangle table or a round table. That doesn't matter. You've got to trust your stager that they are going to do everything within their power to make this listing the best that it possibly can be. You're going to develop trust with each other. Like I have some clients that they don't even call me and ask me for a quote. They just tell me, hey, I have this new listing. I want these rooms done, and this is when we would like to have it listed by. So then I take that, okay, it's going to take me a day to install, my next day for my photographer, my video. So then I can back it out from there and figure out what they need. But they don't even ask me how much. It's because they know that this is what we need in order to get the house done. Now, we've worked together enough where they have a general idea of what it's going to cost, but that's something the homeowner pays for. Okay, so let's talk about some security tips. make sure all medication is out of the house or locked up in a safe or somewhere that buyers cannot find it, because you know they open medicine cabinets, they open drawers, they will go looking. Not that they're necessarily looking for that, but they can find it and it can be stolen. And it's also it's no one's business what kind of medication anybody is taking except for their doctor. So clear it out. Also, you're going to have a lot of showings, so make sure that check all windows and doors after showings. Cannot tell you how many numerous times I've walked into a property to destage it because it's gone under contract and we have found the back door unlocked. Well, that's just fantastic, because now we've just had thousands of dollars of inventory that could have easily been stolen. And I have had trucks backed up to homes, and they've cleared us out, where the agent has called me, did you destage the property? No. And they said, ooh, I was afraid you were going to say that. Yeah. So it happens. You want to always remove the kids' names on walls. I am very, very sensitive to that. And the reason why I say that is because we always want to protect our clients' privacy. Nobody needs to know that Brandon is a little infant and they don't need to know anything about him, or that he plays, there's the 4 and 5-year-olds that go and play soccer on Saturday mornings because you see all their trophies out. You need to hide all of that. All of that just needs to go away. Protect the children. Nobody needs to know anything about their personal self. All right. Also, we want to remove any identifying information, bills, mail, that sort of thing. Now, how do we introduce staging to our clients? How do we have that conversation about presentation? So the average American's number one asset is the equity in their home. Most Americans don't have stocks and bonds and investments. This is their nest egg, okay? And really, their goals are very, very simple. They want to make the most money possible, and they want it done yesterday, right? We all have had those sellers. Everything they have is in their home, and eventually they're going to downsize and use that equity as a way to fund their golden years. So in order to accomplish their goals, they're going to hire you, the professional, to facilitate the process, right? A homeowner expects a real estate agent to provide all of the options, which will help in achieving the goals and selling their home for as much money and as quickly as possible. And homeowners actually have the right to know everything that they can do in order to secure top dollar for their property. It should always be the homeowner's right to accept staging or not. And however, it's up to the agent to present all of the options so that they can make an informed decision. So we definitely want to avoid any breach of duties, any claims. You want to document the homeowner's decision to not stage, and that will release you from any breach of duty claims. So you're going to present staging to them, and you can't get them over the hump. You still want to take the listing. Hey, I've presented this to you, and I'm going to have them sign a document that says, I declined staging. So that they can't come back to you and say, you didn't sell my house. Well, you didn't do everything that we wanted to do in order to sell it. Or I have to drop the price. We're not getting any showings. That's always a fun conversation, right? So we're not doing everything we can to get the most money possible. So, and then going back to, there's lots of agents that I work with that won't take a listing unless their client commits to staging. And the reason why they don't is because they don't want to invest their time, their money, and their resources on a property that they will not be able to, either they feel like they can't sell, or that they can't sell for maximum value, or it will not be a good experience for everybody involved. So they will pass. It's sometimes no is a better option. All right, so ask yourself, why would you consider attempting to sell a house that was not staged? So what you want to do is you want to present the case for staging with passion and authority. Look, this is how I market properties. I bring in a stager, and we always want to highlight the home the very best that we possibly can so we can get you the most money possible. Your clients will listen. If you're genuine when you communicate, they will see that and sense that, and understand that that's really important, that the marketing aspect is super important, and that's what you're there to do. You're there to market that property. As you work with your stager, you're going to have some stats and stories that you're going to be able to share with your clients. And if you right now don't have stats or stories, borrow your stagers. We have lots of them. Your stager should be able to tell you, my average days on market is X, because we should know our numbers. Any questions up to this point? All right, I'm going to keep going. All right, managing these objections. What do we say? How do we combat the I don't want to stage? For our occupied homes, you actually want to commit to your client that it's actually easier to live in a staged home. You know why? Because we have less stuff that we can mess up. I tell my clients all the time, when your house is staged, it's like you're camping. You're only living with the bare essentials. So it's really super easy to keep it nice and tidy, nice and clean. There's a lot less stuff. On an occupied home, what I generally will tell clients as well is, when you get that phone call, hey, can we see the house in 2 hours? Absolutely we can, because of course we never want to turn down a showing. You get a big laundry basket and you walk through the house and you dump all the kids' toys, the dirty clothes, it could be the dirty dishes, whatever is out, dump it into that laundry basket, and then you just put that in the car. You collect the kids, you collect the dog, and you get everybody out. And then it should take you less than 15 minutes to make the beds, to do the fine tuning, and guess what? Your house is show ready. Super, super, super easy. What do I say when I can't afford it? And this is what you say. My stager is super creative, and we can do a consultation with you. She can walk through the property and tell you all of the things that we can do that are very inexpensive or free. Some real estate agents will actually pay for the cost of this consultation. They just take this as their marketing. But if you choose to do that, may I suggest that you actually have your client pay for it up front and you reimburse them, whether that be at closing or after the fact. And the reason why I say that is because when they have skin in the game, when they have money on the table, 9 times out of 10, they're going to do most, if not all, of the recommended suggestions. If they don't have any skin in the game, and this is free, they'll let it go in one ear and out the other. And you've paid for this consultation and you don't receive the benefits of it. So you got to get them on board. If you have them pay for it up front, they feel like they want to get their money back. So in order for them to get their money back, you have to close. And if for some reason you have to do an extension on your listing agreement, they're more inclined to re-sign with you because they want their money back. Okay, so I'm trying to make them sticky to you and also get them to do what they should be doing. Okay, they've got some skin in the game. Everybody has a part to play to get this house sold. Vacant homes. So I certainly understand budget constraints, but RESA has statistics on the benefits of listing a property stage versus just testing the waters, and just testing the waters first and then listing the property. And then share those stats with them that it could easily take 6 months, 8 months to sell the property in the condition that it's in, versus when other properties are staged first before they hit the market, the less than 30 days on average that they sell. So if you come to them with stats, numbers, things that they can get their brain wrapped around, if you share a story of, I had a client who didn't want to stage, and this was the result that they had. Then they ended up deciding, okay, they would stage, and then this was the result that they had. Guess what? It's powerful. Okay. So in all homes, you always want to demonstrate before and after examples to show the value of staging. This is what the house looked like vacant or not staged. This is what it looked like staged, and this was the results that we got. Which would you rather have, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? All right, this is where you also drive home the point again that this is a product. We are transitioning this from your home into a marketable product that has to attract our target buyer. You have to know who you're selling the property to in order to attract them. So if we have a, I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, a few years ago, I lived in a suburb of Nashville, and it was one of those cookie cutter neighborhoods. You know, there's about 6, 7 floor plans, and all the houses look the same. I had and it was full of young families. We all had little kids. That's just where we were at that stage of life. Right next door to me were my neighbors, Sweet Pete and Nancy, and I love them to pieces. They were grandparents, just the nicest couple. Sweet Pete and Nancy decided to put their house up on the market. And it sat. And it sat. And I'm like talking to my husband, I'm like scratching my head going like, they know what we do for a living. Why wouldn't they come ask me for a consultation, or what can I do to help them? Because, you know, I also had a vested interest in getting this house sold for the highest dollar. It helped my property values. So finally one day I was outside and Pete was out mowing the grass, and he stopped and he said, hey, you know, we're really struggling getting this house sold. Do you think you'd come in and tell us maybe something we could do to help it? So I was just jumping at the chance, because at this point, the house had been on the market for 185 days. So I walked in, and instantly I knew what the problem was. It was grandma and grandpa out, okay? We had doilies all over the place. We had signs that were talking about how awesome grandkids were. And then we had photos of the family all over the place. We had a lot of antiques. We had plants all everywhere. It was nuts. So I just said, well, we need to edit. We need to get rid of, we need to remove grandma and grandpa. And I explained to them who they were really selling this house to, that we needed to attract young families. She is always the decision maker, because isn't it happy wife, happy life, right? All he cares about is that he's got a garage or a place for that big recliner that he can put. Otherwise, he doesn't give a rip whatsoever. She's thinking about where the kids are going to do homework, where the kids can play. She's that decision maker, okay? She walks into their house and she feels like she has just aged 40 years. Not going to sell it. It's not going to connect. So once we scaled down and we fine-tuned and we got rid of everything that said grandma and grandpa, including those doilies, 2 days. House had multiple offers and it actually sold for about 10 grand over asking. So I tell you that story to drive home the point. You need to know who your target buyer is, how important that is. And your target buyer is not necessarily the same person who's living in that house, especially if they lived there 20, 30 years. The neighborhood is probably a lot younger. The new ones are moving in and the older generation is moving out. It's no longer fits their lifestyle. So we have got to speak the same language as the buyers who are walking through this house in order to get this house sold. And a question you want to ask your sellers, what was it about the house that drew you to it? Where were you in the stage of life when you bought this house? Did you have little ones? Did you have older kids that were getting ready to go to college? Were you an empty nester? Like, where were they in their life? And that can also help you determine who that target buyer is. Sometimes you have a mixed bag of a neighborhood where you've got young families and then older generations living side by side, and that's okay. But what we always want to do is we want to gear it towards the younger, because if we can attract the younger, we've got our largest buyer pool right there. Okay, here is my contact information. I am available for you, but I want to open it up to questions. Do we have any questions out there? Something that I did not hit on or something you'd like me to get a little bit more in depth with?
I have a question about, you said something about old carpet and replacing it, and so many people now don't like carpet. Would you really replace carpet with carpet or try to get hardwoods of some sort?
That's going to be on a case-by-case basis. What I would do before changing from carpet to hardwood is I would find out what's my competition. Does my competition have the hardwood? And if they do, I would hands down go hardwood. If they don't, carpet could be the best solution for it. But I would go ahead and replace it. Don't leave it up to the buyer and giving them a buyer's allowance. And the reason why I say that is because you're not going to get the highest price if they have to make a replacement. They don't want to do any work. Remember, we want to move in.
Okay, thank you.
And do you have suggestions for commercial property?
Oh, commercial real estate, boy, they are light years behind residential. First of all, let me say that. What I would say for commercial is think about all of the different potential tenants that could be in this building or who would be drawn to renting it. You want to appeal to that possible tenant, not necessarily the investor who would buy it. And really, what most commercial property needs are just a lot of editing, because we go in, and especially if it's been an owner, he owns the building and he's got a business, and a lot of business owners can be hot messes. We need to still present it as it's fun and efficient and very productive, a lot of lights, showing off space, showing off potential of how many desks could you really, how many work zones could you get in this space, that kind of thing.
How do you feel about virtual staging?
Ooh, that's a great question. I sit on the fence with it. And actually, I'll share a great story with you. So I got a call from an agent I work with, and he said, I have a really unique property. So I always know, okay, those are always good ones. I've got a unique property. Clients will not stage, will not stage. But I think I've got them, or they didn't want to stage, but I think I've got them talked into being able to do one room. And I want you to stage this living room. So, okay, let's go show up. Let's go take a look at our project. So I walked in and the house was dated, and I'm dealing with a walled water feature. It's stacked stone, and I have this fountain in the living room, and I have purple faded carpet. And I'm thinking, good gosh, this is one of those situations. Staging's not going to help. I could stage this room. It could look like $1 million, but the buyers, they're not getting past this purple carpet. They're not going to get past all these wild colored walls. And it was dated really in the layout. And because of the price point of this property, I knew that whoever was going to buy this property, there are just things that they were going to gut. They were going to start over in the master bathroom. They were going to start over in the kitchen. So my recommendation to my seller, or excuse me, to my agent was, I'm not going to bring value to you by setting up this room as a living room, because the buyers are still not going to see past the purple carpet. If they do see past the purple carpet, they've already seen past the furniture, and it's not enhancing. It's a different type of buyer. They're looking to renovate. It's a different thought process in their minds. So my suggestion was, why don't we get some renderings of what the space could look like if they renovated and changed out the colors. And then once you have your renderings, why don't you go ahead and have it virtually staged? That is the only time I will recommend virtual staging, because what happens, you may be able to get them through the door, but it is a huge emotional letdown when they walk into an empty space and it doesn't feel like the way they think they're going to feel when they walk in. And now you've gotten their emotions up and they're excited to see it, and then it's a major letdown. It's like a lead balloon. So in that instance, that's where I feel like virtual staging actually hurts you as an agent. So virtually stage in a situation where you can't change any of the things. You want to show this is what it can look like. We can knock out walls. We can fix this. We can do that. And then that purple carpet all becomes hardwood and it looks gorgeous. And then I can put furniture on there and show you, I'm putting it on a silver platter, what it can look like. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I hope that this has been really helpful for you. I hope that you feel empowered to go in and take control of these listings and really find a stager to help you on your team to help you market it. And I hope you get your listing sold a whole lot faster with all of this information. So like I said, I have my information is up here on the screen. If you have any questions after the fact, please feel free to reach out to me. I love talking about staging and I love helping to solve these problems for agents. Like I said before I started my staging company, I was a real estate agent. And I saw the power of, this is one staging, when I still had explained what staging was to people, but I was seeing the power of what was happening with homes in Nashville that were being staged. And it's just tremendous. And then I figured out that that was really my sweet spot, that I'm really good at presenting homes, not so much in dealing with the emotions of contracts and all of that fun stuff. But I completely understand where you're coming from, and I hope that this has been a help for you today.
Thank you so much.
you.
Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was really great.
Yes, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Very good.
Thank
You.
Everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you later.
You too.
Bye. You as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Carly.
Thank you too, Lance. Appreciate it.
Will you be sending us the recording?
I sure will.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you, Carlene.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Yep. Thanks, Carlene.
Oh, you're so welcome. Appreciate it.
Oh gosh, Elizabeth's gonna get her feelings hurt, Carlene.
What? Who?
She's being silly. We're giggly. It's time for lunch. She thought you were gonna say bye to her, and it was to Eleanor.
Oh, sorry. Tell her I said bye.
I get a kick out of it. See you, Carlene. Thanks.
See you, Elizabeth. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
So glad you did. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Do we need to do anything before we sign off?
No, you're good, Donna. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. It was
You too.
great information.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shelley, good to see you.
Too. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye, Mitzi. Thanks for coming. All right. Okay, it's just me and you, Anthea.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you too. You did a great job.
Thank you. And I'm so excited about how many attendees you had today. This was awesome.
And they were so engaged.
Awesome.
You know, I don't know why they didn't want to unmute themselves, but they were coming through the chat and I was trying to keep up with them all.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with for sure, but it actually so much information. I'm just scratching the surface.
Oh,
You know?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, I can tell they loved it. So great information. Really,
Well,
really.
thank you. Thank you very much. I have certainly enjoyed it, and I hope that we can do this again sometime
I
soon.
hope so. Now, how do we handle the designation part of it? Do you have a certificate or do you turn their names in or what?
Yeah, so my assistant's going to do all of that. If I can get the list,
Sure.
then we will turn that into our headquarters,
Okay.
and then they will spit that back out for us and send them off their certificates via email.
Perfect. That sounds fantastic.
Okay,
Well,
awesome.
thank you so much, and just shoot me an invoice.
Okay, will do. Thank you. I appreciate it. And what was our attendee number today?
We had 44.
44.
Well, actually 42 because the
42,
44 includes me and you.
Okay, sounds fantastic. All right, thank you, Carlene. I do definitely appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
All right,
Bye-bye.